glad to see Nina's been blown into next week with the sound. Really glad to see so many of you here today for this really, what I hope will be a really important and exciting meeting. Many of you know this centre, but for anyone who doesn't, we've got a long tradition. The organisations here have a long tradition of fighting with mothers and children to be together and to stop them being separated. So this is really a continuation in the sense that we're bringing two mother-led groups, campaigns together. And that includes mothers seeking asylum who were forced to leave their children behind when they fled from their home countries, and mothers who are fighting here to stop their children being taken by the family courts and to get justice. So this obviously affects thousands and thousands of children and their mothers every year, and it is a hidden injustice which we intend to expose. It's a very timely meeting because, as many of you know, we've just had International Women's Day, followed by Mother's Day events, which focused on mothers and therefore on children in Palestine facing a genocide, bombing, and deliberate starvation. Women in Palestine, like women everywhere, are doing everything they can to protect and keep our loved ones alive and together. This isn't the only genocide, and there are women in this room and probably online from other countries where whole populations have and are being slaughtered. We remember our sisters today in Haiti and Burma in particular, who are also part of our networks. But one difference is that Israel, with the backing of the US and UK, has taken upon itself the right to kill in full view of the world. And if they take that right against anyone, they'll use it against everyone. So today's meeting is being organized by All African Women's Group, which is part of the Coalition of Global Women Against Deportations, Support Not Separation, and Disabled Mothers' Rights Campaign. And that is who we're going to hear from today. And we've got a number of fine speakers who are going to give you chapter and verse on what it means to fight and to win. Okay, I'd like to begin with Trinity, who won Family Reunion after 18 years. And Trinity will spell out how to make your case as strong as possible. Thank you, Trinity.
Thank you so much, Crystal. Good morning, everyone. My name is Trinity. I'm one of the co-chair of this All Africa Women's Group here, based in Kensington. We are women of asylum seekers and refugees. We come together to fight to win. When we say we are women, all Africa women, it doesn't mean that it's just all Africa, from Africa background. It's all over other background and religions and everything. We welcome everyone here. And when we come every month, once in a month, we come to fight our case, to understand our case. That is the big meeting. We do a lot of campaign about this family reunion and other things. And we fight against injustice as well. We come to this meeting once in a month to straighten our case. The other one is doing our case is also once in a month to come to do our case work. How to be on top of your case, how to understand your case so that you will not be pushed around. One thing you should understand, understanding your case is the key to win your asylum case. That is what we are doing here. And most of our women here can testify to that. We are not just fighting, but we fight to win. And we have a lot of victory. And I'm a living testimony. Firstly, I would say children need their mothers, and mothers need their children. People ask, why do you leave your children behind? Leaving your children behind is not any woman's choice to do, but they have to do that to save their lives. Women are fleeing because of war and different domestic violence. I have to leave my children behind just for me to be alive for them today. I will speak about how to straighten your case, your family union case, and how to win. First, things that I have to tell women is that you cannot relent. Don't give up at all. You fight on. And that without fighting, you cannot win. You have to show the Home Office that your relationship with your children is very, very strong. That you are bonded together. Every contact you have with your children, you have to show. Every contact you have with your children, you have to show that you are bonded with your children, and you have to show that you support them in every way you can. Like supporting them with sending money home, you must keep the receipt. Giving money for rent, you must have the receipt as well. Healthcare, the school they attend. You have to show that you know what is happening to them on a daily basis. And the trade they learn, you have to show the Home Office as well. If they are learning trade or anything, you have to have the receipt, the agreement, and everything must be with you. Tell them to send it to you. You have the copy with you. Sorry. And also, if they have any problem like health issue, please let the Home Office know as well what they are suffering. If they have one, let the Home Office know. First thing that I have to tell women, how to straighten your case, your family union. Sorry, I think I'm lost here. I think I have said it. Okay, every contact matters. Every contact matters. Most especially your messages, like when they say I love you, mom, it's very important. Have a jotter, mark it, write it down, the date they said it and everything. Have it. I miss you, mom, or you miss them. When are you going to come? Come back, mom, and take me. It's very, very important. You get all those things intact. Record the time that message arrives. Photograph where they live and their condition. You have to make the Home Office believe with all those things that you have bonded with your children strongly. If you have your children here, it is important that they speak about how they miss their sibling back home. If they are still little, record them. Send to your lawyer. Speak about, yeah. If you have your children here, it's very important to they miss it here. Your children may be suffering, depressed. It is hard to hear how our children are suffering, but we have to listen and record it so that we can tell Home Office. You as a mother, you should stand as a pillar for your children. If you do not listen to your children because they are passing through a lot, how are you going to tell the story to the Home Office? If your children fall, you can pick them up. But if you fall, who is going to pick your children up? You have to consider that. Speaking about children, when you first claim asylum is very important. Please, you have to say their age, everything. Tell the Home Office, write all down. It's very important. And I also know that some women are very scared to say that because they believe that Home Office will use it against them. Oh, you have your children back home. Go and meet them. You have no tie here. They will only say that when your case is not strong. When your case is strong, they have no hope to say anything like that. That is why we come here to straighten our case, to make it strong, to understand our case, to be on top of our case. You are the driver of your case. As a group here, we follow you and we help you to straighten it, is it? Yeah. Yeah. The Home Office can deceive with the wrong status. If you don't know, you will not know. I was given 2.5 years leave to remain. When I came to this organization and I heard other women's stories, heard that with asylum, you can bring your children over here. Plus, my lawyer told me, give back that useless 2.5 to them because you can't bring your children here. Because I have fight a lot, nobody told me till I come to this organization before I know that my case was purely asylum. Nobody told me, like most of us here, we don't know that our case is pure asylum. That paper only stayed with me for 3 weeks. I summoned that courage and returned it back to Home Office because I want my children to be here. There are other things that we must do, like DNA. They have to take your DNA, TB test, and prove your identity. You have to pay all those things yourself. The Red Cross helped me with the flight of my children. Most of us are destitute. We have to do everything we can to get money to pay for this. We have mother campaign, which we are starting up again as we are gathering today, and we are not stopping. And this is our demand. We have 2 demands. One, for us to be recognized as a mother. We should not be treated like a single man. We have more responsibility for our children. Like others, we are facing destitute, abuse, people who take advantage of us and the hostile environment. Yeah. But in addition, we are carrying the burden of the worry of our children, and it affects everything about us. I can go without food, but my children back home cannot go without food. We cannot leave our children to perish. They are always with us and in our hearts. Children should have the right to join their mothers or fathers, even if they turn 18 before their parents' asylum claim was settled. That is the second demand we are saying. That is the second demand. Over 18 or under 18, we want our children here. Yeah. This is not unfair. This is very unfair. Sorry, this is very unfair. The Home Office delay settling our asylum claim, or we did not know how to claim asylum. So we delay, and now in the meantime, our children passed 18, and they told us we cannot join. They cannot join us now. So I finish by saying that the Home Office is telling us as a mother that we have no right over our children. That children do not need their mothers. Who says so? They are taking they are taking our right away from us. We said no to this. This campaign gives us the eagerness to fight on, and we must fight on, and we will win. Thank you.
The sound, but I'm not sure that we can do anything about it. It's not. If the sound is fine, but it's between if somebody pauses, there's a lot of interference.
Okay. It might be. It might be, but
the people online, the sound, they can hear most of it, but in between, if people pause, there's less interference.
Okay. I'm okay. Well, apologies to the people online who are not getting the same quality of sound that we're getting here, which is in fact very good. But there you go. That's the technology. Obviously, work in progress. So please bear with us. I just wanted to, first of all, thank Trinity for really spelling out the nitty-gritty of what it means to make that fight, and the fact that we shouldn't have to make that fight, because there shouldn't be any question about the bond between a mother and a child. And there shouldn't be any question about whether or not our children should be with us. But that is the world we live in today, and that is the fight that we've got, whatever sector we are from. And it's very clear that when we do come together to challenge and fight it, as we'll hear now, we not only win, we make sure that other people understand that they can win as well. Okay, so moving on, I'd like to give now the mic to Tracy, who fought and got her child back after they were removed by the family courts. So the brutality is everywhere.
Thank you, everyone. I'm really glad to be here so that we can bring together the fight for support, not separation, as well as the fight for family reunification. It's really important, and this platform is excellent. I'm a mum with an invisible disability, but I have a severely disabled child, and he was falsely ripped away from me, not because I'd harmed him in any way, but because I was that troublesome mum who fought long and hard to get her rights so that he could have his care in the community and also his education rights. Time and time again, I was taken to child protection. They're the people that eventually remove your children, for anyone who doesn't understand that. And each and every time I won. So they decided then to falsely drag me through the family courts, making up false accusations that I'd harmed him in some way, so that it would just cover up their own injustice, their own malpractice, and their and what happened was that they nearly killed him in hospital. So it was to cover up hospital malpractice. He was falsely ripped away from his loving home and put in an inaccessible hostel, which was neither accessible or inappropriate for his care needs, and all the money I'd fought long and hard for was taken away. Support Not Separation started in 2017 when it published its dossier, Suffer the Little Children and Their Mothers. But it's coordinated by Legal Action for Women, which has actually been running since 1982, so for quite some time. And since then, we've been having monthly pickets outside the Central Family Court in London, as well as on Twitter. And these have been quite successful. We also hold monthly self-help collective meetings for mums, and we come together as mums to share our experiences along with the groups that also work here at the Crossroads Women's Centre, such as Women Against Rape, Winvisible, that's Women for Invisible and Visible Disabilities, the Global Women's Strike, and the Women of Colour, and also now the Disabled Mothers' Rights Campaign, which I'm also involved in. We also have a blog online, and we also have a self-help guide for all. Children are removed from their loving mothers in their thousands by family court, but also by the abusive fathers who are backed by these family courts. Your children are removed not on the basis that you've done actually any harm to them, such as my case, but on the probability that you might have harmed them. And evidence is not the paper it's written on. Or, even worse, that at some point in the future, you might harm your child, even when you've never, ever harmed your child, and there's no evidence that you ever have harmed your children. Single mothers, women of colour, asylum seekers and refugees, young mothers, women with disabilities, rape survivors, and care leavers are all targets by the state for child removal. And the majority of us are all on low income, as my sister here has already testified to, and our poverty is used against us. In family courts, they disguise it and call it neglect, when our children have never, ever been harmed. We work on individual cases using what we call collective self-help. We discuss tactics that work, like, for example, making sure you record all conversations with all professionals, and that includes social workers. Sometimes saying less rather than more is much more helpful, because they use what you say against you. You think you're getting out of it, but actually they're recording it, and they just twist your words and use it against you. We recommend that everyone puts everything in writing, because then you've got a paper trail, especially for family courts. And we are committed to defending mothers and children. Don't treat any single professional, even those that pretend to befriend you, as your friend, because they're not your friends. They're secretly recording everything behind your backs to twist the knife in. And we also talk about how to act in meetings with social workers, but also in family courts. So we talk about tactics. And also, you should always have someone with you because you're always stronger in numbers, and it's always disheartening for them when there's a witness around. But one of the biggest lessons I learned to my own personal cost was to choose your battles. Because if you're fighting every single little thing that they throw against you, you can lose sight of the key issues. And what you really need to do is to focus a judge or a social worker on those vital key issues. You have to let go of the smaller issues because we can always deal with them later on after the event and not focus on everything all at once. Our casework feeds into our campaigning, and campaigning is crucial to change this hostile climate against low-income mum and kids. Each time a mum has a victory, if she doesn't win everything, even if she doesn't win everything she wants, it helps to strengthen the movement we are building, so we have to do both. Our starting point, just like our sister Hera said, is the relationship between the mother and child, because mothers are most often the primary carers, and they have built up a bond and relationship with that child from in the womb. And when you separate a mother and a child, it causes immense trauma for both. And I can tell you at a personal cost, it's lifelong trauma that you never get over. We're campaigning against the downgrading and dismissal of rape and domestic violence by social services, CAFCAS, and the family courts, and the violent fathers with whom the family courts tend to side, and their use of parental alienation. They use it to stop themselves being prosecuted and to keep their control over the mothers and children who don't want anything to do with them. The presumption of contact must be abolished. Children do not need violent fathers. We are challenging the ever-increasing removal of children from disabled mothers who, like others, are denied the money and resources that they are legally entitled to in favour of a privatised child removal system that need an ever steady stream of removed children. We launched the Disabled Mothers' Rights Campaign. Please feel free to take a copy at the back, to press councils and family courts to acknowledge disabled women's rights as mothers. We're campaigning for money for mothers, a care income. We know that children need mothers, and mothers deserve the money and resources to bring up and love their families. We have small and large victories, but the campaigning is an ever-growing movement of mothers who are here to protect our children, and it has forced the family courts, in some courts now, to open their doors to the media. And it has been, some media have been allowed in and to been able to report anonymously. So the movement is working. We will not stop until this system is changed, until the courts are open and we have money for mothers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tracy. It's very, very clear, I think, by now that the strategies are the same. You know, whichever institution we're up against, we know we have to do it in a collective and a self-help way. We have to be, as Trinity said, on top of our cases, and we have to be, as Tracy said, absolutely documenting every damn bit of injustice that we faced. And once we have that, we have the tools to continue the fight. We're now going to hear from a mother who's not going to be on the panel. And she's a mother who has won contact with her children after many years of separation. And we were privileged here at the centre to see that contact. And it was just wonderful. So let's hear from another mother. Thank you.
I'm going to read, I've scripted this, so I'm just going to read what I've written, if that's okay, of my story. I said, I've scripted this, I've written something, and I'm just going to read, if that's okay, of my story. I'm going to sit down and do that. Is that okay? Great, okay. So I found the Women's Centre by chance one afternoon as I walked through the Mews during the pandemic and saw a flyer of a webinar on family court injustice. I felt so seen just reading this tiny A5 piece of paper sellotaped to a garage door. Something stirred within me that day, but I had no clue that this would be the beginning of an extremely positive journey fighting my case, and this time winning. I haven't put this in there, but I just should tell you that it's been 5 years in total now, and this was a third round of litigation, just for some context. The second time I'd meet Crossroads women would be almost a year later outside the co-op on Kentish Town High Road. The women were kind and relatable, so kind I didn't think they'd really be able to do anything for me. I had a thought that I developed from my experience of the court system that good people don't win. They proved me wrong. I was in an abusive marriage. My youngest child at the time was 2 years old and just finished breastfeeding. I had been a stay-at-home mother my entire marriage. When I asked for a divorce initially, he seemed quite positive until he realized I was very serious about it, and then the abuse spiraled to coercively control me and my relationship with the children to ensure he got the custody. Since the first time we were in court, my ex paid no child maintenance, and due to the 2-child benefit cap, all of the benefits together did not even cover part of my then privately rented home, which he previously had paid for. He was able to lie about his finances because he was self-employed. He played mind games with the children, sending Uber drivers with teddy bears and boxes of chocolates for them, all the while leaving them hungry and confused. Oh, I'm sorry. I had to decide whether to pay rent or and no food, bills or basics for my children, or use the housing element of universal credit to feed us all, pay the bills and travel costs for school, etc., but miss the rent payments. We were left in dire straits, and the social worker warned me that I had already used up my 3 tokens of the year for the local food banks within 6 months. I reached a breaking point, and he managed to coerce me with the help of his specialist men's family law solicitor to make an arrangement out of court. He would have the children, and I would see them very often. I conceded because of the tremendous guilt of watching them go hungry. I knew that if they were with him, they'd eat. I was criticized by family and friends, but when it really counted, no one stepped in to help feed and clothe my children. The children went to their father as the pandemic kicked off, and unsurprisingly, the first thing he did was prevent me from seeing them for 6 months. We went back to court, and this time my solicitor actively advised me not to mention his abuses. This advice damaged my case, and I had to learn the hard way that solicitors often give very poor advice. I changed my solicitor 5 times, but again, the last solicitor I had told me to drop all abuse allegations. I now know he lied to me, and I have plenty of emails to prove this. I finally got in touch with SNS. We came together monthly for collective self-help meetings, and we listened to each other's cases and talk about what we might do and what might be best. We use the experience of women from the groups at the centre who can help break down the cases into small steps, and we make a plan of action. This means we don't miss anything and are able to collate all the evidence needed. We all have to run our cases. That means we are in charge, and we tell the solicitor what it is we want them to do. When they give experts advice, and that is contrary to what makes sense or what seems unjust, we don't have to accept it. Seeking a second opinion is often essential, and this is where the self-help groups are useful, because we can bounce our concerns off one another and see whether or not they are fully valid, which often they are, or whether we need to relax our anxiety a little, which is fully understandable when you're in the family court for your children. After I began attending the Crossroads Women's Centre, it became clear for the first time in 4 years at that point that I wasn't a unique case, that other mothers who've lost their children had also faced abuse, poverty, and a similar collection of difficulties, including serious health concerns or disabilities. Finally, my children are able to stay with me overnight, once a fortnight, and half of holidays. Yeah, it has been life-changing for us all. Of course, I want much more, and I'll carry on fighting. But in the meantime, we are focusing on rebuilding our relationship that were so badly broken by having an extremely restrictive court order for so long. It isn't magic, but at least now healing can begin, and I'm immensely grateful to SNS for helping me achieve what felt like the impossible. The end is in sight to a never-ending nightmare.
Thank you. It's always good when we hear how much pain women are going through, to hear that there is, as it's put, light at the end of the tunnel and a possibility to change it and to get what we want, because that's what keeps everybody going. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, who is Emily from Women Against Rape. We work very closely together. And she's going to speak about how rape and domestic violence is used to deny mothers and children their rights. And it's horrifically common, but it's something we know how to challenge.
Hi everyone, thank you Crystal. This is a great meeting. I'm really pleased to be here, and hearing the other speakers makes me really realise just how many crossovers there are. I work with women seeking asylum as part of Global Women Against Deportations, but all the issues that the SNS women have raised are the same. They are basically the same as for women trying to get family reunion. And as Trinity spoke about, I used to be a lawyer. I'm a mum. And so, yeah, I'm just saying a few things about how the problems in winning asylum for women then feed on to the problems for getting family reunion at the end of that process. Because in order to apply for family reunion, first of all, you have to win your asylum case and you have to get refugee status or humanitarian protection. You can't get any other kind of leave, which the Home Office likes to give to women instead, as happened with Trinity. The asylum system is based on proving your case, that you're at risk of return. And the thing is that women's cases are legally more complex. And in recent years, most of the women who've come to us, in general, the women that come to us are almost all victims of rapes and other kinds of sexual violence, domestic violence, trafficking, FGM, things like this. In recent years, most women have come suffering violence from private individuals, family within the family or community. And these are called, in refugee law, these are non-state agents. They are traumatized and stigmatized by what they've suffered, and then they get to the UK and they're forced into destitution here. The Refugee Convention doesn't include gender-based violence as a ground for seeking protection. So women have to rely on a ground called membership of a particular social group instead. And this is the same for LGBTQ cases. But the government loves to attack this social group ground, which is, a lot of people don't realize that's how women get protection. So to get asylum, women need to prove that they're at risk of persecution, but also that they can't move to another part of the country, that they can't get protection from the police. There's like extra hurdles for them. Even when a woman is married to a man who has powerful political or military connections, the domestic violence that that man inflicts on his wife, he's still called a non-state agent. So which is just a fundamental unfairness. Women find it very difficult to speak about their experiences. They are, as a result of that, they are disbelieved by the Home Office in their asylum interviews. The Home Office uses it against them, and they're called things like vague, that their evidence is vague. No account of the trauma. Women Against Rape, we help women speak about their experiences. We also work to stop the Home, especially at the moment, we're having to work hard to stop the Home Office interviewing women when they're not ready to speak about their cases. The problem with that is that the cases take longer because you haven't been through that asylum interview. So it's a terrible dilemma. But the other choice is that your case is refused, so you have to put off the interview. So even with our help, some women are so traumatized they can only write down what happened to them. They can't speak it out loud. To win your case, a woman needs a good lawyer on legal aid who can get the extra funding for the expert reports that prove the harm and prove that they're at risk in the country. The government has made this much harder. It's always been a struggle to get that funding. It's much harder now. There aren't any lawyers anymore. The Home Office exploits this. And at the same time, they attack the so-called activist lawyers, which just means a lawyer doing a proper job on your case. Women without help can spend decades trying to win status. And this has a very serious impact on family reunion cases like Trinity was speaking about. The years pass, the children turn 18, and they no longer fit the rules on family reunion. And we know of cases where a woman was granted her asylum appeal by the court, but the Home Office sits on the decision and doesn't give her the piece of paper granting her status until her child's turned 18 to prevent her making an application within the rules. And this kind of thing happens so often, we know it's deliberate. In fact, lawyers have told us that, we know that you can apply even after the children turn 18, you can apply under these more positive family reunion policies, but you need a lawyer who's ready to, you need to know that, which most women don't, and you need to fight it out with the Home Office, and that needs a lawyer and it needs legal aid, both of which is a problem. This is why it's so important that we organise together against these injustices. And that's why, like SNS, we run on the basis of collective self-help. So women can come together to face and overcome these problems and have the courage to continue to seek justice and protection that they're entitled to for themselves and their families. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Emily. We unfortunately we're short of a speaker who was really keen to speak. It's Janie from Level Up, and she was going to speak on their campaigning together with No Births in behind bars, which is again doing fantastic work to stop mothers going into prison, and particularly to stop pregnant women being imprisoned. But sadly, she can't be with us today. So I don't know whether anybody here had been working with either of those groups who can add something. Maybe we can check later. We were also going to have a roundup of the campaigning that's going on across the country, because of course this, in fact, is not only nationwide. It's in fact international. Women in the US, in our network in the US, are also doing important work of challenging the theft of children by the family courts. And again, I don't know whether anybody will add to that. But I think there is somebody who's going to speak, who's going to read a statement from Merseyside. Oh, the migrant care workers. Who's doing that? Claire. Okay.
Do you want to come here and swap?
Hi everyone. This is a message of support from Care and Support Workers Organise, who are workers in social care who are campaigning for decent wages and working conditions, and for mutually respectful relationships between those of us who rely on social care and the workers. And everyone knows that social care has been completely deprioritized, especially during the pandemic, but also since then. And a woman called Josie has sent a statement about the visa conditions for health and social care workers trying to work in the UK. And she says, what the government are proposing reduces freedom and does nothing to address care inequalities globally, which are caused by British colonialism. As a former care worker and with colleagues from all over the world living and working in the UK, I welcome the contribution of migrant workers and advocate for good working and living conditions for care workers globally. I would also emphasise the importance for care workers to be able to offer their valuable labour in the countries where it is needed and where they want to make a home. There is a drain on care work in many countries globally, and we believe it is important to protect migrant rights while working on a global scale to level imbalances caused by British colonialism. As it stands, migrants are offering their valuable labour in the UK, and people will travel first to establish a life and make a home for their kids to join them in. The care workers I know who do this experience a horrible time as they have to wait and wait, missing their family for months. When finally their kids can come, the relief and celebration is so beautiful. The government wants to deny people this moment and make this what they have to go through forever. It has already been routinely happening, so we can see and understand the horrors of this. The Observer newspaper has examined 10 cases and been alerted to 140 more, where migrant women, all single mothers, have had visas for children denied in the past 18 months. Kids as young as 2 are being told that there is no good reason to grant them a visa and reunite them with their mother when they can stay living in these temporary care arrangements. Can you imagine? One NHS worker whose daughters 4 and 13 were refused a visa said, "It's heartbreaking. How can I sleep at night?" she said. "I am the mother of the children and I've always looked after them, something which the Home Office is doubting because this child's dad is, quote, still in her life and therefore can look after her." Other cases cite sporadic and occasional contact from a father as a reason why he can look after them. She's saying, "How can I sleep? What is she doing when she's awake?" Providing NHS care for the UK. These tragedies of Home Office racism, neglect and mishandling of cases are becoming law. For the care workers who do come, they will be forced into traumatic family separation. And I'm sure that more will choose not to come because of this. Nearly 10% of roles in adult social care were vacant in 2023, Does introducing inhumane measures which will reduce the number of people working in care do anything to help the UK as a society? Absolutely not. We also have to refuse their attempt to divide us. Strong communities are ones you can call on for resistance and ones that you can have these conversations in. What are you going to do next time someone talks negatively about their care worker being from Africa? What will you say? Practice now because we need to be ready for these conversations. Stay open, listening to the migrants who are affected by this. Help your friend with their visa paperwork. Reunite as many families as possible today while fighting against these laws coming in tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Claire. Really important aspect of what's, of how far they're ready to go with the hostile environment and their brutality. Before we kind of like open for questions, there's a couple of speakers I'd like to invite from the floor to make contributions. One is our sister Amina, a long-standing member of the All African Women's Group, who's really currently making a very hard fight to get her children over here to join her. So, do you want to come here? Yeah, come here, it's easier. Thank you, Amina. Well, we've all
Hello everyone. We are all happy to see you all here. We are all happy to see you all here for this Mother's Campaign. My name is Amina, and I'm a mother of 6. Only one child here with me in the UK. In 2010, I won my status in the UK under Legacy. That was my first problem. No one told me that I therefore had no right to bring my children here. The first lawyer told me that I have to work to bring my children here. So I got a job, but it was low paid. Then one of other women in the All African Women's Group told me that they got the same status, and the group here at the Women's Center told them to send it back. She got a refugee status and was able to bring her children here. I got another lawyer. She was slow, and it took 4 years for her to submit the case. By that time, only 2 children were under 18. Suffering terrible. No. There are my 2 children, all my children have suffered terrible without their mother. In 2017, I was refused because they say there was no one to pay for the fare. I didn't know that the Red Cross would help. The center protected about the lawyer causing my case. She took it back on. Then there was a long delay because I had to apply for a fee waiver, and the Home Office stopped fee waivers for a while. Then there were COVID. I felt stuck. In between, my poor daughters were trafficked, and The trafficker got false passport for them. So now we have to endure that. They get the right document to keep going with cases. The big problem is that mothers are discriminated against. Many people, the lawyer, the Home Office don't think that it's matter for children are with their mother. Also, I worked as a housekeeper to get money at first to bring my children here. We women are paid less, so we struggle to raise the money we need. Now I am on universal credit and it is such a little money. I don't have enough to support my son here, let alone to send money to my other children. This costs us a lot. The stress had made me ill. My youngest misses his siblings. Plus, we suffer hearing how our children are suffering. There are my children. They will always be my children. Without my children, I can't sleep. A part of me is missing. What I want to say to other mothers is never give up. Never give up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amina. You know how painful that was to relate, but I think your message at the end is exactly right. We can't give up. Mothers just don't give up. I think there's somebody else on the floor that we wanted to invite to speak. Is Emma from Safety First Wales here? I hear a yes. Ah, yes. Great. Come on, Emma. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone. So I'm from Safety First Wales. Hello? Oh, that's better. Hi everyone. My name's Emma. I'm from Safety First Wales. We are a coalition that formed, well, we had a soft launch last year, and we are formed of sex workers, health professionals, academics, a whole range of people. And we are aiming, well, we're raising awareness about decriminalisation, but we are also looking into the situation with mothers, because we know a lot of sex workers are mothers, especially single mothers working to support their children. And I've been looking into sort of the statistics around care and care experienced children in Wales, and sort of looking at how much money is being not given but funded for care experienced children in Wales, and if we can better direct that money to mothers. So I've just got a few statistics here, and I want to highlight that this information wasn't that readily available. I had to do a bit of digging, but it is published. It's just that the Home Office, the state, they kind of keep it hidden. So we know that just over 7,000 children are looked after in Wales. This is an increase of 22.9% since 2013. And the annual cost for that, there's not one specific figure, but I'll give you a ballpark. So the minimum figure would be 373 million annually. And the highest figure, if you take into consideration family support, youth justice, asylum seeker services, safeguarding and other services, that is £822 million a year. If we then take that figure and divide it by how many children are looked after, so if we get one singular figure for one child per year, the minimum that would be, based on those figures, would be £52,684. Okay, so that's just over closer to £53,000 a year. So why aren't we giving this money to mothers? Why are we not recentering this money, giving it to mothers to better support them? We know that data from Support Not Separation has highlighted keeping mothers with their children. It will better support the mothers, the children, and from the state's point of view, it will reduce the costs as well. So why are they not listening to us? We also know that within Wales, children are being placed far away from their home, so from where they're born. 26% are placed outside of local authority area, and 6% outside of Wales, another country. Within this, they are obviously then unable to access care, therapies or facilities, and some are actually placed in unregulated settings due to lack of an appropriate children's home place, and then some are being placed in unregistered. So the money that is being spent, the figures that we have got are probably underestimated as well. So as part of Safety First Wales, we really want to not just raise awareness for this, but continue to sort of petition towards the Senate, towards the state, to sort of recenter and reallocate this money. We know that Wales itself has issued a basic income for care leavers, so they're giving help towards care leavers. So why can't we recenter that money towards mothers themselves to better the mothers' lives and the children's lives, and to respect everyone involved? Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Emma. Thank you. Okay, so now at this point, more volume. Okay, at this point, we wanted to open the floor for questions or comments. If you just indicate with a wave of a hand, because yes, I see two waves of a hand, one in the corner there and one there. So yeah, we're going to. Can somebody take us a mic around? Is that fresh batteries? Ooh, good. That might work. Yes, of course.
Thank you. I wanted to follow on.
Can you say your name and?
Yes, I'm. Come up. Okay. Is that better? Hi, I'm Laura, and I'm from the English Collective of Prostitutes, and we're based here at the Women's Centre, and we're part of the Support Not Separation Coalition. And I just wanted to follow on from Emma from Safety First Wales, because we've been working together closely, so it makes sense that the two things go together. And so, as Emma said, a lot of sex workers are mothers, which in Wales, in England, and everywhere, frankly. And that's why women. Oh, is that better? And that's why women are. Most sex workers are mothers, in case anyone missed that. In Wales, in England, in every country, and that's overwhelmingly why women are working in the sex industry. And we're part of the Support Not Separation Coalition because we've seen a lot of women come to us because of threats, and what we call threats and harassment from social services, who are interested in why women are working in the sex industry, not because women are not interested that women are fighting against women's poverty, are fighting to keep a roof over themselves and their children's heads, and clothes on their children, and food in their bellies, but are more interested. Social services have said to women things like you're more interested in the money than you are in your children, and are asking women to do STI tests when their children have absolutely nothing to do with the sex work. It's completely irrelevant, but this is the kind of discrimination that women face. It's actually another case that we're working with. It's actually legal to be a sex worker in the UK, but it's illegal to work together for safety. And there's a woman in our group at the moment who is facing charges of being convicted for brothel keeping, which is working together for safety. And after she was arrested, the first thing that happened was that social services came knocking around on her door and asking questions. And luckily, in her case, the social services could see that the child was fine and was very much loved, and so went away. But there are many other cases where that's not true, and the social services are much more involved and much more interfering and harassing. So yes, we also want decriminalisation, as Safety First Wales said, and an end to stigma, so that sex working mums can't be categorised as bad mothers just for working in the sex industry. And we want an end to women's poverty, as everyone here does, so that women can look after children without being pushed into sex work in the first place. Thank you.
I think you're going to read the statement. Is that right? Oh, okay. Oh. No, well, Ola had a hand up, so.
Hello, everybody. My name is
Louder.
Olayinka from Nigeria, and then from All African Women's Group. So my question is, Trinity said, I'm an asylum seeker, by the way. So she said while she was talking that during family reunion, that we need to prove some things to the Home Office, like for you to bring in your kids from back home here, that that you need to prove some things to the Home Office by that you are in touch with your children, as in sending, like you pay the rent, you are like in touch with them, giving them love, so bills, you pay bills and all these things. So sending evidence to the Home Office. Like now, my question goes this way. Since I am an asylum seeker, how do I get these things? And I'm not supposed to work. Yeah. So how do I get the money? Yeah. So how do and I need to prove that I paid rent, I did this, I did that. Where do I get the money from? That's my question. Thank you.
What's your answer, Ron? What do you think women are doing?
I can't get that.
What do you think women are doing? You know that when there's some women in the group, what women are having to do to get that money?
I don't know.
Okay, somebody else might want to.
Did anybody from the group want to answer that question? Yes, somebody at the back there. Ruth.
Of course, my name is Ruth. Of course, people might be doing illegal work or prostitute, but again, what I think she's meant that you have to prove you be working legally, not illegal. So which is hard to prove, because you can do all that, prostitute, whatever illegal way of working, but you can't prove it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you, Ola. That is a good question. I will answer it. You know, for my own case, I was not working and I don't have the means of getting any money. I was being pushed to do just anything, and I was like taken advantage of. And I must tell you this, even lawyer in this country, take advantage of me. Yeah, I have to get money by all means. And I was doing cleaning job, hide and seek cleaning job, which I proved to the home office because I have to get my pay slip. You know what home office told me? They say, you have questions to answer. And I replied to them that I have a son here. I can't leave my son to starve to death. So I can do that. But they dropped the case. You know, I said one thing, that if your case is strong, you're on top of your case. I know many women here put prostitutes just for them to get something to do, you know. But any means you can get money, you have. You can't leave your children to starve to death, is it? So most women, like me, I have been in that situation. By all means, to cater for my children back home. I don't care where the money is coming from, but I can't leave my children to starve. That is what I mean. So most women forced into prostitution. We don't want to do that, but where is that means coming? Where is the money coming from? So you have to decide whether to leave your children to perish or to sacrifice whatever you can do for your children for the sake of love you have for the children. Thank you.
Okay, there's quite a few hands going up. Maybe first off, Sarah, would you like to read the message of support for the meeting? This is from Merseyside Knows No Borders, which is part of Action Against Detention and Deportation, who we all work very closely with here. So she couldn't be here. They couldn't send anybody today, and we're very sad for that, but we've got a message.
Okay, so this is a message from our dear sister, Nina Houghton, who's in the Merseyside Solidarity Knows No Borders group, which is in the Liverpool area. She says, on Mother's Day, we send our greetings of love and solidarity to all mothers currently being abused and traumatized by the UK government's racist and brutal immigration and asylum laws. Sorry. Many of us on Merseyside are suffering daily, weekly, yearly, while the asylum system is separating us from our children. Our families are torn apart and our children are growing up without us. But we will stay strong and resist all attempts to break us. Though we can't be here with you in person at your event today, we stand alongside our sisters in the All Africa Women's Group, Global Women Against Detention and Deportation, and Support Not Separation at Crossroads Women's Centre in your tireless resistance to the UK's violent border regime. We call for an end to the racist asylum laws, an end to reporting, detention, and deportation, and for freedom, dignity, and justice for all.
Okay, I saw a couple of hands go up. Do you want to pop them up again? Yes.
Okay, hi there, everybody. I'm Kay, and I'm from the Single Mums group based here at the Women's Centre, Single Mothers Self-Defence, and we're part of the Support Not Separation Coalition. But I wanted to just let you know that Shell from the Scottish Kinship Care Alliance would have been here this morning, but she had to rush off because her grandson wasn't well. The Scottish Kinship Carers have been fighting for those of us, their grandmothers, mostly their grandmothers, and they have taken on the care of their grandchildren because their own children couldn't look after the children through death or illness or something else. And what they're fighting for is that foster families get allowances, when they take children on. And that's exactly what they have also done as grandmothers. And they want the same money that foster carers are getting. And they've been fighting for that for a long time. And they also want the services that go with that, because sometimes the kids need all sorts of resources and services if they've, come from some traumatic situation. they've got a new centre, well, in Dunbartonshire. Shell, who would have been here, is opening up, in fact, their new centre this Thursday. So, you know, and she may well be on the live stream, travelling back to Scotland right now. So obviously we would send her lots of love and good luck for that. And we hope to, many of us hope to go up to Scotland soon, because they're always protesting outside the Scottish government. And they are going to be again in April, you know, making demands on, you know, exactly for the money and the parity with children who are in foster care. Okay, I think that's the main information from them. Is that okay, yes. Now, the Mothers Manifesto, those are a group of, in fact, many of them are grandmothers too, but they're from, mostly from Devon, from the area of Devon, and this is their second, that this week, starting on Mothering Sunday, which was this Sunday just gone, they are starting a week-long hunger strike, which they did before. And the reason they're doing it is because they're drawing to the attention of everybody they can about the numbers of children that are going hungry in this country, and their mothers who are skipping meals. Many particularly younger mothers, they've said, are skipping meals so that the children can eat. But also internationally, they want to put a spotlight on the fact that there should be no children starving anywhere in the world. And their demands are very good, and one of the key demands that's being picked up a lot is they want universal free school meals, you know, for us all here, which would be fantastic. And then we would be demanding decent free school meals so that the food is nutritious and healthy and appropriate to the kids, and kids would get a decent meal. And that's the least that we're entitled to for our children, you know, to make sure. And it's just outrageous that children are having to go to food places, like breakfast clubs in the morning. I mean, why can't we be there to feed our children and have the money to buy a breakfast and them to have a breakfast with us before they go off to their day's work, which is work in the schools as well. So anyway, they're there all this week. They will be getting weaker and weaker a little as they go on in the week, because they're really not eating. So we will be going down to support them again, and we welcome anyone to come with us who'd like to. And just to say, they've had loads of press coverage, and apparently they were on Women's Hour this morning. But look at their website, because they have all kinds of people that they're meeting and connection that they've been making, including they have raised about the militarization of using starvation as a military tactic, like in Gaza, you know, starving the children and the mothers. So anyway.
Thank you very much, Kay. Yeah, just to reiterate, if you want to go down to join the Mothers Manifesto, leave us your information before you go, and we can let you know when we're going. Okay, any other hands that went up? Yes, right at the back.
Hi, I'm Elle, and I've got a couple of things that I would like to speak about. A couple of things I'd like to speak about. I think there was something in the paper today, a few days ago, saying that 50 billion in care is the cost of women looking after family members. That's how much they contribute. The other thing I wanted to say is that she was saying how anybody looking at what had happened to her, any reasonable person would say it was outrageous. And we need to be going down there and protesting and supporting outside there.
So, which organisation did you? Are you part of an organisation? Sorry, we didn't catch it. Yes. Oh, okay. No, and that's okay. She's not in an organisation. She's interested in taking a case. Okay, that's really important. I got one. Oh, okay, sure, Nina. Oh, there's one. Just one at the back there. Yeah, we'll get a mic to you. You carry on.
Okay, you want me to speak? Here, there, here. Is here okay? Okay, well, I'm really glad. I'm Nina, and I'm also from Support Not Separation and the Global Women's Strike. And I'm very glad that you raised about the case of this, this mother and her partner who are being prosecuted because the fifth child that they've had together died because they ran away in order for the child not to be taken into care. And I think that we know of many, many cases of mothers who have multiple children taken because once they take one, they assume they're going to take the next one. And we have successfully fought here to prevent that so that the second child was not taken. But it's just heartbreaking, and I'm really so glad you raised it because, in fact, I was discussing with some of my colleagues and friends over the weekend that we should go down to the court and support this mother. Initially, they didn't say that all these children had been taken. It was a bit like there was some mad couple, running for some reason. And then as soon as they said that, it all made sense. Because wouldn't any mother do that? And of course there's nowhere to hide there, which is why that baby died, which is absolutely heart-wrenching. I wanted to raise two other things. First of all, the Global Women's Strike did a survey about what mothers and other carers want, which went on for a year, and we are going to be publishing the results very shortly. It was international, and we had responses for over 1,000, mainly mothers, of about 50 different countries, many from this center. I'm sure many of you did fill it in. And one of the things that came out really strongly is that, I wasn't prepared to speak, so I don't have the exact figures, but it was something like 85% of those who answered the survey wanted a care income. And a huge majority also did not want to be pushed into full-time work because of economic need when they had small children. It was a tiny minority who wanted to work full-time outside of the home when the children were small. And I think we all know as mothers how difficult it is when you've got your 6-month-old baby and all of a sudden you're having to give the child to somebody else and go out to work, and it breaks your heart, even if you like your career and all that. One of the women at this center is a childcare worker of many years, and she wrote a brilliant piece about what it's like to look after these small babies coming in, and just how guilty the mothers feel, and how the whole thing just breaks your heart. And the children are not happy, and you try to do your best as a childcare worker to look after these kids who really should be with their mothers. And that is the situation that they're putting us all in, even when we have our kids. It's really heartbreaking. So we're going to be publishing the survey. Finally, I want to say about a kind of victory that we've had in Ireland just now. There was a referendum on the Constitution, on 2 articles in the Constitution, which the government wanted to change. One of them was about the definition of the family, which at the moment is very restrictive, and really applies to only to marriage. So it's discriminatory against everybody else. So of course, the Global Women's Strike in Ireland and many other people wanted that definition to be changed and to be inclusive. But there was also another article they wanted to abolish and replace, and it's the only article in the Constitution that recognizes the caring work that mothers do in the home. And it's kind of committed the state, although it was never really tested in law, to ensure that mothers were not forced by economic need to neglect their duties, so it was kind of a quite sexist language, by going out to work. Now, they wanted that abolished, and we fought for that article not to be abolished, but to be replaced with language that was not sexist, but where the state responsibility to mothers and other carers remained central and could be implemented. They formed a citizens' assembly, which went on for about a year, and they kind of choose, I think it's about 100 people at random, so it's quite, not at random, it's quite representative, but it's not chosen by the politicians. They met and they came out with very good wording, saying that the state had an obligation to carers in the family and outside. Okay, so we were really glad and we thought, great, there's going to be a referendum and we're going to campaign for this. Now, what did the government do? They totally changed the wording because they didn't want the state to have an obligation to actually financially put some money on the table for mothers and other carers who have been doing this work of keeping this, reproducing the whole of the human race and keeping society going forever. And so they changed the wording. It was no longer an obligation. It became an aspiration, which is legally unenforceable, right? And the conclusion of it was that they took out the bit about outside the home, so it was still only in the home. And the conclusion of it was that the state had no obligation and had an expectation that women who were no longer mentioned would continue to do this work without any financial or other support. So it was totally sexist, and it was also totally disregarding the rights of people with disabilities who have fought for support and for choices so that you're not stuck in the family when you don't want to be. Anyway, it was very interesting because, of course, we campaigned for the first thing on the family to be passed, even though it was crap wording. But nevertheless, expanding the definition of the family was worthwhile. And we campaigned against the second one, saying we don't want this crap wording, which lets the state off the hook and institutionalizes mothers and others in the family to carry on struggling without support. Now, to their surprise, there were various people who spoke up. The opposition parties were kind of against it, but then caved in and went with the government. But a lot of the public spoke about their experiences of caring and what it was like to have no resources, to be treated as a charity case, and how it was scandalous what the government was doing. The clarity was amazing of the debate. I have not seen anywhere that kind of debate within the population about caring and the importance of it and about rights. And mothers and other carers and people with disabilities really came together to make our case that we're entitled to that support from society. And guess what? The government absolutely lost the referendum in the most amazing way. 74% of those who voted against the so-called care referendum. Okay, we also lost the one on the family, which is not great, but quite frankly, the wording was also not very good. So we're now in a position where we can campaign for something better on the basis of mothers and other carers and people with disabilities having come together to make our case, which is a very new thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nina. It's great to have a victory. You know, we just love victories. There were a couple of other hands that went up. Yes. Maggie and Becky. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Becky from Nigeria. Sorry, it's not new. Just because of the question and what she said, just mine could be like interested because it's a journey now. I've been fighting since a couple of years now, trying to get my kids to join me. And the first lawyer I got, after exhausting over £12,000, we lost it. We won the case first, then the Home Office went against it. Then I got another lawyer last year for Wilson Solicitor, who said we're going to pay about £5,000. So we paid 4,600. At the end of the day, it came up to say that the case was not allowed to go to upper court of appeal. When I put in the application in 2019, these boys were not up to 19 years. And in the course of this journey, I lost my only daughter because I have 5 kids. And since then, it has been sleepless nights. So I don't know where to get help now because I'm so confused. Every mother knows what it is. You can't sleep. Look at what's happening in Nigeria. You can't even eat when you hear what's going on, and your kids are not there with you. It's making life so miserable. I can't even walk. I find myself not fit to go to work. Because
Becky, Becky, I know this is really painful. You have been coming to the sessions, and we are determined to help you. So maybe the best thing is come to the next session, as we always say to you, and we can look into.
So please, I don't know if she said she can take some cases if it's something that will be interested.
I know it's a bit hard.
I don't really know where to really get help from now.
No, Becky, it's a bit hard for people to take it in, love. So come again to the next self-help meeting. I mean, that's why we have the self-help cases meetings in between the main meetings, so that we can, get to grips with giving you some advice on what you need to do next. Okay?
I'm not a lawyer. The case that I'm interested in taking is with another organisation. I already took one case to judicial review because I was denied legal aid by the.
We can't hear you unless you.
Sorry, I was denied legal aid by the LASPO cut. So I took. I was helped to take a case to the for judicial review, and they were forced to give me legal aid after 8 years. And what's happened since is that basically. It took them so long to give me legal aid that nothing was properly done, and the reason and anyways, but what's happened is that people now, sorry, I should compose. What's happened is that they can't deny people who have trapped capital, which is money that they cannot access, legal aid. So if anybody's in that situation.
Thank you very much. It is a different situation because you're talking about the family court. So, and we're talking about the immigration, it's a completely different system, but thanks for that. Yeah. Fine. I think people have got that. Thank you. Okay. So any more hands going up? Maggie was next. Yes. Maggie, I saw Maggie. Yes.
I just have a general question for Tracy about something you said. You said don't go to appointments and don't go to family court alone. But what if they don't allow you to take someone with you?
I mean, they often say that, and you have to fight for that. So if it's within child protection, you actually don't ask them. You just inform them that someone's coming, and that's it. Fait accompli, basically. If it's within family courts, you can make an application for the person to come in with you. But even if that's denied, they should still be outside, and their presence needs to be seen by social workers.
Okay, wicked, epic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Maggie.
It's only a question. Can I ask a question?
You have to speak a lot louder, otherwise you won't hear it.
Can I ask a question, please? Yeah, thank you. Today is my first time here. I didn't even know the direction. Somebody just told me to come. I suffer from mental health because of what I have gone through, and I have been here for 18 years now, and I have never seen my 4 kids in Kenya, and I don't know what to do. And my case, I just filled
Sister,
a form. Yeah?
sorry, sister.
Yeah.
I mean, what Crystal said, coming to the meeting is probably the best way to go,
Yeah.
because we have monthly meetings by Global Women Against Deportations. We have monthly meetings, and then we also have self-help cases sessions. But if you come to the monthly meeting, then you'll get the self-help guide. We'll give you a list of questions for you to answer, which will give us a good idea of what your case is about. And then you can come to the work session where we can actually get down to some more nitty-gritty. But can I just say, Chris, a couple of things? First of all, on the legal aid, it is a really important issue, because the government deliberately cut legal aid for immigration cases, for family cases, and much else. And it's in order to make it almost impossible to win your case, because it's not like they made the asylum process or the family reunion process or any other process nice and simple so that you could do it yourself without a lawyer. All the kind of obstacles and tricks are still there within the system, which require really a high level of expertise and knowledge to navigate that, and you're denied the use of a lawyer. And what we do here is, as Trinity said, try and help women understand their own case, and that does transform a lot of things, not just in terms of you going directly to court, but even to the point when you actually get a lawyer. If you go to a lawyer knowing your case, you're in a completely different situation. So it was a deliberate strategy of theirs, and they have a system of exceptional case funding, which means that you can apply to get funding in your case. But again, that means you need a lawyer virtually to make that application. It's very, very difficult. It's one of the things that they've done to make the whole situation much worse. I mean, the Rwanda plan is an example of how bad they intend it to be. The idea to take away the right to claim asylum altogether and send people to Rwanda, where even if they win their case, they don't get the right to come back to the UK. And it's a bit like, we have to kind of know what time it is. And what we have on our side is a good organization, a group of organizations that have found a way of fighting. And as Trinity said, a lot of women do win, but we have to know what we're up against. And I just wanted to relate it to what Support Not Separation has done, because from the outside, Support Not Separation has really changed a lot. When you started in 2017, people were not talking about the sexism and the racism and the injustice of the family courts. And it's transformed everything. I mean, a lot of bigger organizations have now got on board, and prominent barristers, and there's articles in the newspapers. Few of them mention Support Not Separation, the grassroots campaign. Surprise, surprise. But the fact is, it's been Support Not Separation's work that has determinedly kept it in the public eye. And Trinity spoke about the Mothers Campaign for Family Reunion of the All Africa Women's Group, and what Support Not Separation has achieved is an example and an encouragement for how we can also change the terrain, because the government is using immigration in a horrendous way to divide people and deny people of their rights. But what the Mothers Campaign can do is to show the public who women asylum seekers are, that it's mothers separated from their children who are determined to fight and counter this racism and sexism. And, you know, I feel like the Mothers Campaign can have the same impact. And sorry, I think that's everything.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Maggie, you wanted to say something, and then I think Claire also.
Yes, thank you. I'm Maggie. I have been with the group for a year now, and I just want to emphasize on what Trinity is saying, because even as I came here also, I didn't know a lot about my case, and with the help of the group, I knew what I have to do, even to how to speak to the lawyer, because at some point I was also not. I got a lawyer, but then he was not doing the right job. He was giving me different information. And then with the help of the group, now I know how to be on top of my case. And this is why we need the campaign for the mothers, because truly there is no love as mothers love. Because mothers, they are the only people who can take care of their children. And we need to fight this. As I'm sitting here on behalf of my sister who can, maybe they are ashamed to talk or they cannot talk. Because I'm sitting here in support of the ones who are in different countries as well, who are fighting the same thing as well. And this is what we need. We need our children. We don't need our children to be separated from us. Yes, thank you.
Hi everyone, it's Claire from Winvisible again. I'm going to make my own comments this time. I just wanted to add a couple of things about benefits. Some of the mums have spoken about universal credit being so low. We are opposed to the whole universal credit scheme, and we are against no recourse to public funds and the refusal of benefits to people on the basis of immigration status. And also we are campaigning against the sanctioning of mothers and mothers being cut off for failure to attend disability appointments. On the 4th of March, we were at the No More Benefit Deaths protest outside the DWP, and some of us were blockading the road opposite Westminster Abbey. Also remembering some of the mums who died after being cut off, such as Elaine Morrill, who died of cold because she only put the heating on when her children came home from school and she was anorexic. She'd been cut off for failure to attend an assessment, and the council was also instituting eviction proceedings against the family because her housing benefit fell when her main other benefit was cut, and she left 4 children behind. I wanted to remember Jenny Houtman, who died recently very tragically of cancer, and who was a homeopath at the centre, and before that, or around the same time, was part of the welfare campaigning around 2008-9, and she, by speaking out as a breastfeeding mum against having to attend a work-focused session of new mothers, she helped to establish the 1 year exemption from work conditions for new mothers, which is still there in the universal credit rules. There are various categories of work conditions, and complete exemption does apply to mothers with babies under 1. So let's remember Jenny for doing that for millions of women.
Thank you very much, Claire. Yeah, Ben would like to make a contribution, and then I think Sarah was going to make an announcement.
Yeah. My name is Ben. I'm part of a men's organization who is based here at the Women's Center called Payday. Payday is also a member of the Support Not Separation campaign. We support mothers in their fight to get back their children, because we know that mothers are the best to look after the kids. We know men, and we know violent men, and we know that violent men use the court in order to take revenge. So we are not having any of that, and we are supporting women, and as much as we can, we support and join their meeting and their picket every month. I'm also an immigrant from Quebec, and I was very glad for all you've said, Trinity, and all the women from the All African group. We need to know more about our situation as migrants, as people who have been denied their right just by the fact that we don't have our paper. I'm glad that this meeting will be on YouTube so that anybody in the world will be able to benefit from your experience and your fight. And I think it's very important that we campaign internationally, that we be in touch with other groups and other people in other countries to learn their experience and to get the power of the international. You have to remember that our national government really don't like it when you go international and you have people from other countries who start complaining and campaigning against them. They have a reputation after all. So campaigning internationally has been quite important for us, and we think it's the way forward. I just wanted to mention a couple of struggle that is happening. We're in touch with various groups in a network called Papers for All, a group of undocumented migrants who are demanding their paper so that we are entitled to all the rights, be it benefit, the right to work, the right to family reunion, basically to live like people live in this country, like the national. There is a group in the US we've been working with, and they are opposing the detention centers over there. The situation is quite critical. There's been a lot of suicide recently, and there's been hunger strikes, so there's a big fight going on there against the condition in the detention center, but also against the detention center itself. We don't want any detention center. There is no reason why migrants should be put in detention. We have done nothing wrong, nothing wrong. I just finally want to mention a big fight which is happening in Canada as well. For a couple of years, undocumented migrant and supporter have been demanding papers for all. That is a regularization of their situation, and they won a promise by the government. Sadly, maybe unsurprisingly, the government has yet not delivered, but they're having a big campaign this weekend, the 16th and the 17th, called Migrant Spring. It's our spring, and we are fighting to get our paper. So I encourage you to find out more. We will circulate the information, because any victory that can be won in Canada about gaining their paper will be useful to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben. I think Sarah was going to make an announcement as well.
Yes, a quick announcement, but just to say thank you for all the organizers of this meeting. It's been so powerful and so helpful to hear the step-by-step, cases. Tracy, Trinity, the Muslim sister who spoke earlier, that what they describe relates to all the work that we're trying to do for justice. And we're finding in Women of Color Global Women's Strike, we're hearing from a lot of women who are being racially attacked and driven out of their homes, including mothers of color and their children. And what you describe is exactly what we try to do and need to strengthen ourselves in doing to defend our sisters and our loved ones. I wanted to thank you for also this meeting for highlighting the mothers and children and babies in Gaza, because that's so much in our hearts. You know, we're just horrified about what's happening. And we wanted to make an announcement and call on you. The Global Women's Strike and Women of Color in the Global Women's Strike organized a fantastic fundraiser for a group. It's called the Middle Eastern Children's Alliance. They're a distinguished organization. They're working on the ground in Gaza and other parts of Palestine. They showed a clip about the survival work, and it's being done by many, it's women and young people getting food to those who are starving. They make care packages, they cook big dinners, they're getting food to places where the food, even the meager food, is not getting. So we want to put out another call, and we want to send it to everyone. We can send you the link and ask you to give as generously as you can, because it's something that we can do for Gaza, as well as going out. I know many of us have been out on the streets and going to local councils and calling for boycott, divestment, and sanctions, but we should also give to those groups that we know are doing on the ground work and are led by women and led by mothers. I think it's very appropriate for this meeting to take up that call and make your donations online. But thank you again, everyone. It's been so uplifting.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm getting there. I've got this list, I'm going down. So the next thing I wanted to announce is that All African Women's Group, and together with the Global Women Against Deportations, we've been putting together for some time now a petition. It's a petition demanding exactly what we asked for before, which is family reunion. So it's in a draft stage at the moment, and there are 50 or so copies at the back. And what we would like is if people could take a copy, have a good read of it, have a look at it, see if there's anything that we're missing, see if there's anything that's come from this meeting that you feel should be one of the demands in the petition, because that's the way we get the strongest kind of demands and petition that we can make to put out there publicly in the world. And as soon as we're ready with it, which we hope, if you give us your feedback by the end of this week, we should be ready to do something with it and launch it in April when we get back after Easter. So that's your April break work. Please read it. Please add to it. Thank you. We've got a few other announcements. One is that this evening, the struggle continues down outside the Home Office, where a number of organizations are coming together to protest against the security and policing. It seems that British police, sorry, it's my piece of paper, I've got to read it. It seems that the British police are coming together with the border enforcement and all of that means to work with delegations from other countries with the right, with trying to take away our human rights to protest against arms companies like Elbit, to protest against boycott and to be part of boycott and divestment movements, and to really be protesting against the ongoing genocide in Palestine. And the groups that are coming together are really the grassroots groups, which is very good. It's Sisters Uncut, it's Black Lives Matter UK, it's a number of groups that have been doing this anti-protest legislation and been against it for a long, long time. So I'm encouraging anybody who can to come down, 6 o'clock outside the Home Office. So I'm hoping to go, so maybe I can drag a whole bunch of you down. Okay, and we've got a few more minutes for any other announcements, and then we'll wrap up what I think has been, I hope you'll agree, a really good meet. I'm going by that clock, slow or not.
Yeah, I just want to make an announcement, particularly for those people who are new here today. is our monthly picket for Support Not Separation is on the first Wednesday of every single month, and there is an open mic. Our next meeting is on the 3rd of April, and we meet at 12:30. So please, outside the Central Family Court, which is near Holborn, basically, please come along, because there's an open mic and you all have the freedom to speak as much as you want. And also at the same time, sign up to our Twitter storm, which is happening always at the same time at Not Separation. And please sign up to our blog, because we do a lot of campaigning work. We do a lot of consultations. And if you sign up to our blog, as soon as we post something, it'll automatically come into your inbox so you can see what campaigning we're doing all the time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tracy. One last pitch, sign up for everything. There's a sign up sheet at the end, which I think Anne is controlling. Yeah. If your name's not on it, you're not going to get some vital information that you got today. So please sign up, join us, stay in touch. Together we win. Thank you.
Thank you.